When you look at a global superpower from the outside, it projects this unstoppable strength, right? Like a modern steel skyscraper.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you get inside and, actually look at the data from May 2026 for Russia and China, you realize the foundations are cracking.
Okay.
So welcome to our deep dive into the latest economic numbers where we're unpacking that invincible facade.
It really is just an illusion of stability. I mean, we naturally assume a massive global player has a rock-solid foundation.
Right.
But the data coming out right now, it tells a completely different story about what's actually happening underneath all that polished glass.
So let's start with Russia. Because if you listen to official Kremlin messaging, everything is running smoothly. They point to an official inflation rate of 5.9%.
Which honestly sounds totally manageable.
It does, until you look at household level inflation.
Right.
For everyday citizens trying to, buy groceries or pay for heat this April, inflation's running at a brutal 12.9%.
Yeah, and overall, the broader economy actually contracted by 1.8% early this year.
But wait, the state is constantly bragging about their unemployment rate sitting at just 2.1%. If unemployment is that incredibly low, shouldn't the domestic economy be humming along?
You'd think so, but that 2.1% isn't an economic win. It's actually a symptom of a severely depleted workforce.
Oh, right, the mobilization.
Exactly. When you mobilize hundreds of thousands of working-age men for a military effort, factories literally can't produce enough everyday goods.
Wow.
And that scarcity, well, that's exactly what's driving household inflation up to nearly 13%.
It's like a car running in the red. Sure, it's moving forward and the engine sounds loud, but it's overheating because crucial parts like the labor force are just falling off onto the highway.
That's a perfect analogy. The internal friction is destroying the engine.
So, how long can ordinary citizens absorb this kind of punishment before the wheels completely come off?
Well, that friction is already bleeding into the state's international finances, too. In just 1 year, Russia's massive trade surplus has completely collapsed. Yeah, it plummeted from $10.4 billion down to just a measly $1.6 billion.
I have to push back here, though, because we hear so much about Russian resilience beating Western sanctions, right?
Sure.
We know they're using third-party countries to get foreign tech, and they're exploiting occupied Ukrainian territories for resources like coal and gold.
Yeah, they are.
So if they've successfully engineered these workarounds, why are their revenues crashing so hard? Why are reserves on track to hit zero in 12 months?
Because smuggling is incredibly expensive. Those workarounds cost a massive premium, which eats right into their margins.
Oh, that makes sense.
Plus, the U.S. Treasury is strictly enforcing its deadlines on crude oil shipments, and the UK just rolled out new rules to stop exports from being diverted through those third countries.
So the net is tightening.
Exactly. The net is tightening, which means the state's burn rate is just astronomical right now.
And we see that burn rate clearly in their national wealth fund. They only have about 4 trillion rubles left in reserve.
Right.
At their current deficit pace, that entire safety net could vanish within a year.
Which highlights the core theme here. Russia is trading its long-term financial health for near-term military capacity.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a remarkably similar playbook of state ambition over domestic stability in China, just with a totally different flavor of dysfunction.
Let's dive into China's numbers then, because their state-backed sectors look phenomenal on paper. High-tech and aerospace investments are soaring. Aerospace equipment alone is up 17.9%.
Right. They're building massive upper-tier industrial capacity.
But then you look at the domestic reality. Property investment is down 13.7%.
Yeah, new home prices are falling, and household consumption is practically flatlined.
And most glaringly, youth unemployment for 16 to 24-year-olds sits at a staggering 16.9%. It's a huge problem. It's like a bodybuilder who completely skipped leg day. China has pumped all its capital into its upper body, aerospace exports. But consumer spending and real estate are the legs that actually support the domestic economy.
That is spot on.
But here's what I don't get. If their high-tech sector is booming at nearly 18%, why can't that massive growth just offset the losses in the property market? Doesn't this massive youth unemployment and property collapse create like a ticking social time bomb beneath the state's facade?
It absolutely does. And the reason tech can't offset it is because of where ordinary Chinese families keep their wealth.
Where is it?
Up to 70% of household wealth in China is tied up in real estate.
Wow, 70%.
Yeah, so when the property market crashes, millions of families suddenly feel poor and they just stop spending.
Right.
Tech exports might boost state revenue, but they don't replace the lost life savings of everyday citizens. And unfortunately, those highly automated tech factories aren't hiring enough young people to absorb that massive youth unemployment rate.
So if you're watching global markets, this is really the ultimate takeaway. Both of these governments are essentially mortgaging their domestic stability.
Yep.
They're sacrificing ordinary families and youth futures to maintain a posture of strategic dominance.
They're polishing the glass on the skyscraper while completely ignoring the crumbling concrete in the basement.
Which leaves you with one final thought to ponder. We started by talking about that projected image of unstoppable strength.
Right.
If China's social fragility snaps under the weight of a ruined property market, or Russia's war chest officially runs dry next year, which of these heavily controlled systems will be the first to face a true domestic breaking point?